The reporter, Laura Tobin. Good morning, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Good morning, you. Thanks for coming over. Will you tell us...
OK, can I just say, when I woke up this morning and saw an 8.8 magnitude earthquake, I thought, wow, this is big. And I was right. 8.8 magnitude is the 6th strongest earthquake Earth has ever recorded, and our records go back to 1900. And it happened off the coast of Russia, but it's in this area called the Ring of Fire. This is where tectonic plates come together and meet, and we often have earthquakes and volcanoes along these zones, but 8.8 is one of the strongest we've ever recorded, and it's where the two plates come together, slide, and then it releases energy, and then that energy is what causes the tsunami risk.
So... Can you explain them?
Exactly. I think the first thing that everybody thought when they heard tsunami warnings being issued, and as you said, they are right around the Pacific coastline. So we have a map of where all the tsunami alerts and all the tsunami warnings have been issued, not just in the coastal area. By the way, they had waves in Russia of 5 to 6 metres, but right the way down to New Zealand, from west to east, right the way across the west coast of America. But last time, not the last time, but the time in everyone's minds where we had this huge coastal inundation from the Boxing Day tsunami, the actual earthquake and the coastline were very close together. Now, the earthquake happened up here, and the energy dissipates as it travels through the ocean. The speed of the energy is fast. It travels at 500 miles an hour. That's as fast as a jumbo jet. And the energy is 20 million times as powerful as a Hiroshima bomb. But yes, it dissipates, but when it gets to these coastlines, and the warning that everybody was worried about this morning was Hawaii. They had 6-foot waves, that is 2 meters high, but they have just downgraded within the last minute their warnings. So they had hurricane warnings, they now have, tsunami warnings, they now have tsunami advisories. Everybody was advised to go in and up to stay away from the coast, but the governor has just said to people they think the worst has passed, so they can now return back to their homes. But the next area that is on its firing line is the west coast of America. It has to travel further to get there. And this was a footage of the coastline retreating. Often it retreats first 100 feet before the water comes in. So it depends on the lay of the land. When you get to the coastline, the water comes in, so there's still the chance of tsunami waves right down that west coast of America. And I usually say the first wave isn't the biggest. It's the second and third ones that come. We have had 20 aftershocks since that earthquake overnight last night. So there's more energy in the ocean heading not just to Hawaii, but the west coast of America, and even as far as New Zealand.
Laura, can you explain?
So when I was talking to friends and colleagues and talking to forecasters for this, they give advisories about how big they think the waves are. So yes, when it travels from the epicenter to the coastline of America, that's a bigger distance. The energy is less, but the waves could be bigger because the floor of the ocean slowly slopes up, and that slow sloping causes that funneling of water. So the waves on this west coast could be bigger. At the moment, they're forecasted between 4 and 12-foot waves, so that is one to watch within the next few hours. So the advice is in and up. They ask people to move inland. And for those who can't move inland, they've said to them to go up 4 floors high, and that would be safe. But as you say, this isn't one. The warnings have always said we are not expecting catastrophic coastal inundation, but waves of up to 6 feet high, nearly 2 meters. That is enough to sweep people off their feet, take away cars. So staying away from the coast is imperative. These were the waves in Japan. They had waves of up to ½ a meter in places. But like I said, in Russia, they had 5 to 6 meter wave highs. And also, not just forgetting, this is the coastal inundation that they did actually have in Russia, an 8.8 magnitude earthquake with many aftershocks. This was a question we had this morning. If you're on a cruise ship, what do you do? When all the cruise ships from Hawaii, it's a very popular cruising destination, they move them well away from the coast because the ocean just will have moderate waves at best, but it's only realised, the tsunami warnings and the tsunami risk is only realised as you get to the immediate coastline when the ocean's shallow and it's funneled up to the coastline. So the coast is the worst place to be out in the open ocean, despite being closer to the epicentre, is actually, yes, much safer.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Thanks, Laura. I can't believe you got in on a free transfer. It's great. I mean, come on.
We're
Thanks,
keeping
Laura.
her. Thank you, Laura.